I swear, when you think about all the things that black people have endured in the last hundreds of years and continue to endure to this day, with all the racism, sexism, homophobia, etc., police brutality, all of that stuff, and then yet we continue to thrive, create, break records, and enjoy and love life, and we're not willing to or wanting to burn this whole thing down, seeking revenge. Like, I swear, like, we are a miracle and we are a strong and incredibly beautiful people. I said what I said. And welcome to my Safe Gayven, everybody. Thank you guys so much for clicking on another video or your first video and joining me for a review here on the Black Gay Comic Geek channel. If this is your first time checking me out, hey, how's it going? My name is Michael. I call myself the Black Gay Comic Geek and I always say the things that I love to talk about on my channel has blood, sex, gore, and magic, or any variation of the force. I like to talk superheroes, I like to talk video games, I like to talk comic books, I like to talk action movie, I like to talk about fantasy, I like to talk about sci-fi, and I like to talk about black representation and queer representation, or a lot of times the lack thereof in sci-fi fantasy movies. So if you think that is important, if you think representation equals normalization, and you love the fact that there's a black gay movie reviewer in this YouTube space offering their unique and different perspective, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, become one of my Safe Gayveneers. But whether you are a regular or you are a new person on the channel, do me a favor and hit the like button. Make sure you watch this video to the end for the watch time. Watch, like, share, comment, interact on this video for the all gay rhythm. Guys, we are here talking about The Woman King. I just saw it last night, Saturday night. And whew, we got a lot to talk about. But before I do that, I guess technically this will be my first sponsored video here on the Black Gay Comic Geek channel. So obviously with you watching my channel, you guys are movie fans, sci-fi fantasy movie fans. Otherwise, why would you be watching my channel? And so with that, I was just recently hit up and did a collaboration with MoviePalette.com. And they sent me this lovely movie canvas that I have hanging in my bedroom wall. And they have a variety of different movies. You can see The Dark Knight, they have The Lion King, they have the Lord of the Rings trilogy, they have The Matrix, they have so many different movie palettes as art canvases. And basically what Movie Palette is it takes the color scheme from every single scene of a movie and they put it on a palette, hence the name Movie Palette. And so you always see all the different color schemes throughout the movie put on a canvas, and it's pretty beautiful. And depending on how your room looks or your living room, depending on where you want to put it, it can definitely go with your decorations. And again, if you're a movie fan and you want to celebrate movies and you want to add one of your favorite movie decorations to your living room decor or your office or whatever, head on over to moviepalette.com and use the code ComicGeek15 to get 15% off of any movie palette that you want. And I guess thank you, Movie Palette, for being my first sponsor for a video. Yeah, cool. We're growing here on the Black Gay Comic Geek channel. Oh, you know what? And I realized while editing my video, I forgot to mention what movie I got for my Movie Palette canvas. And it is the 2022 version of The Batman starring Robert Pattinson. So yeah, Movie Palette. But anyway, Woman King, let's talk about it. So the synopsis for The Woman King, directed by Gina Blythewood, is an American historical epic film about the Agoji, the all-female warrior unit who protected the West African kingdom of Dahomey during the 17th to 19th centuries. This movie is set in 1820s and the film stars Viola Davis as the general who trains the next generation of warriors to fight their enemies. And my God, my God, my God, my God, I'm not even gonna waste time with this. When I tell you this movie was incredible, like I will go out on a limb right now, because there's been a lot of great movies that came out this year, but I'm gonna go out and say this is probably my favorite movie of the year. I believe before that, my #1 favorite movie of the year, I'm gonna have to go back and think, because I was like, What did I even see this year? I don't, it's been so many movies, I'm confusing the years. I remember now. I would have said before this, my number one favorite movie is Everything Everywhere All at Once, starring Michelle Yeoh. Now that's been dropped to number 2. The Woman King is now my favorite movie of the year. Like, this movie was incredible. I'm already gonna tell you what my rating is. It is a blockbuster. Go see The Woman King. All right, that's the end of my review. But no, like, on a serious note, like, I cannot praise this movie enough, and Gina Prince Blythewood's directing. Now, with that said, like, be wary of what you're gonna expect going into this movie. Because when I saw the trailer for this movie, and of course, I was like, thankfully, this movie was able to get made, I think mostly because of the success of Black Panther. Because if you think about Black Panther and the protectors of Wakanda, who are they? The Dora Milaje, the all-female protectors of Wakanda. Which, speaking of, another really quick plug. One of my friends and colleagues, Kara Mahorn, is writing or has written a book for Marvel Comics. It's coming out on the 20th, and it's called Protectors of Wakanda, a history and training manual of the Dora Milaje. And again, it's written by Kara Mahorn, comes out September 20th. And just like it says in the title of the book, it's basically a fictionalized training manual and history of the Dora Milaje, their origins and the different weapons that they use, the training schedules, the graduation classes, the type of techniques that they learn, etc. So definitely pick that up. Support Black comic creators, support Black fantasy books, decolonize your fantasy, read fantasy written by Black and brown authors and not just a bunch of white people. But with that said, because the Dora Milaje were based off of real life warriors called the Dahomey Amazon, the Ogoji, and we've never really seen depictions of them in any type of media. The most recent, we've seen the Dora Milaje based off of them, and then we also saw a version of them in Lovecraft Country with the episode I Am Hippolyta, or Hippolyta is Wonder Woman's mother. I am Hippolyta. And so when this movie was announced, I was excited. Now, with that said, I said all that to say, like, going into this movie, don't expect to just get all badass woman or women that you think are like the Dora Milaje just kicking ass and taking names. Now, yes, you do get that in this movie. You get a lot of that in this movie. But the thing that I loved about this movie, and something that I think it even has over Black Panther in a certain sense, is you really got to know and understand and care about the relationship between these women, between this sisterhood of a military army. It wasn't just a bunch of women in service of protecting the king. It wasn't just a bunch of women showing you a bunch of badass moves and kicking ass and you know, being great warriors. They weren't just women warriors. They were women and warriors, and you got to see both of that. And with that said, like, this cast had a lot of beautiful brown skin, both women and men, because you got John Boyega, who played the king. And when I was watching this movie, I was like, wow, I feel like it's been a while since I've seen John Boyega in a movie. Like, I feel like Star Wars just really burned him, and he decided not to really do anything, because I feel like I haven't seen him in the longest time. But like, you got John Boyega, who's dark skinned, Viola Davis, who's dark skinned, Lashana Lynch, and a bunch of the cast. And this is why I always say representation matters. And it's not just about representation in front of the camera, but it's also representation behind the camera, because of all these dark skinned, specifically the women, because that's what the majority of the movie was. The lighting in this movie was incredible, because like, you think about Lucas in Stranger Things and that terrible blue lighting that they did for him, and that's like, there is a certain way that you have to light Black people, especially dark-skinned Black people. And especially if you're having scenes take place at night, like, you have to light us a certain way. And you got to see, like, you saw all of their facial features in this movie. Like, there was no problem where I was just like, I can't see anything, or I can't tell what's going on because the lighting is so dark. And that's why representation is important as well. And also the thing about this movie, because you know I say I love my blood, sex, gore, and magic, and I was a little disappointed, I will admit, when I found out that this movie was PG-13. But I will say that despite the fact that this movie is PG-13, it is brutal, it is graphic, it is bloody. People die. Now, I will say, you know, because I'm a sick individual, I would have preferred if this movie was rated R and they went a little further with it, but I still really enjoy it. I would say that's my biggest criticism is I wish the movie was rated R. But that's the most minuscule of minuscule criticisms. Viola Davis is a legend. Viola Davis is incredible, but I don't know. Part of me kind of feels like this is like maybe like one of her best roles. Like there were so many moments in this movie, not even just with Viola Davis, but with Viola Davis specifically, like especially with her particular storyline. Like there were so many moments in this movie that I was just almost brought to tears. And like, I will say, let me get this out the way though, like even though Viola Davis's performance was incredible, I will say, talking about criticisms, another criticism of mine is like her accent was terrible. I'm like, I don't know if she maybe didn't have enough time to work with the dialect coach or she just struggled to pick up an African Dahomey accent, but like, yeah, that accent was terrible. But even despite that, even despite her accent being terrible, there was still moments where I thought about it while watching the movie, but it wasn't so bad that it completely took me out the movie, that it completely made me not interested and invested in the story of Nesca, which is the character that she played. Like, oh my God, the story, like, I wasn't expecting the story that they gave us with her. Again, you got to see these characters as women and not just warriors. Because even think about somebody like Okoye from Black Panther. I love Okoye, I love Denai Guerrera, but also at the same time, what do we really know about her, especially with her relationship with the other Dora Milaje? We don't really know anything. All we know is really her relationship that she has with the King, the Black Panther, and of course now that with the unfortunate passing of Chadwick Boseman and with the rising and more pivotal role that the Dora Milaje are going to play in Black Panther, I suspect going forward, maybe we'll see that more, but I can only go based off of what we got in this first movie. And speaking of another character, like my favorite character in this movie was Lashana Lynch as Isoki or Soji. Isoka? No, no. I just looked it up. It's Izoji. I was right the first time. But like, she ate. Like, she was incredible in this before. Like, the only thing I've really seen her is like as Maria Rambeau. I didn't see 007, and then I've seen her in this. But like, this is probably like my favorite performance of hers. I was really attached to her character. I love Lashana Lynch in this character. Every time she was on screen, I was just that much more invested. And especially considering like you got Viola Davis. Like I said, I was very much invested in Viola Davis' story, but I was even more invested in Izoji. And Thuso Mbedu, who played Nawi, who was another lead in this movie. Like every single person, every single woman, every single character in this movie was incredible. Like the acting outside of like Viola Davis's accent, the acting was on point. Like this movie better get nominated for some type of Oscar. Like I love this movie. And it goes to show like slavery and the slave trade and experiencing racism and all that, it is a large part of Black history. However, there are so many facets within that and stories that they can tell within that that don't really get told, like the story of the Dahomey Amazons, or the story of Queen Nzinga, or Masa Musa, who's like the richest man to ever exist in history, which I think he only just recently was surpassed by Jeff Bezos. Hashtag tax the rich. But these are more of the types of stories that I want to see. And the thing I also loved about this movie is there wasn't a white savior trope, because 9 times out of 10, a lot of times when it comes to like movies that take place during like slavery, Jim Crow, yada, 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 they always want to inject some type of white savior in the movie. And it's like, sometimes those don't exist. And I'm glad they didn't have that in this movie. But yeah, there's like so much I want to talk about, but it's spoilers. But yeah, this movie is incredible. And it just goes to show, like, going back to what I was saying about how slavery, Jim Crow, etc. is a huge portion of Black history, like 500 plus years. That's not a little bit of time. But going back to what I said in my opening, it just goes to show, like, despite all the things that Black people have endured, all the atrocities that Black people have been endured, ripped from their family, their culture, their heritage, essentially freed from slavery, but given nothing, no reparations, no 40 acres and a mule, no money to build anything to start themselves up, but yet We were able to come from slavery, come from the slave trade, come to this new land that we know nothing about, learn the language, make our own culture, and make it the most dominant culture in America. Not even in America, but in the world. Now they're trying to whitewash black culture by calling it Gen Z culture. And it's like, no, this came from black people creating jazz, creating blues, creating gospel, creating hip hop, rock and roll, soul, etc. Black-owned businesses, the Black Wall Street, the fact winning Oscars. I could go on and on and on. Despite we keep building and keep creating and keep thriving and surviving despite every moment society and the world constantly kicking us down, because anti-blackness is universal. And watching this movie just made me not realize, because I realized this before, but it made me think more. It's just like how much of a miracle black people are. And that needs to be celebrated, not just with black people, but it needs to be real. Like, people need to realize how much of a miracle we are, because we are. But anyway, with that said, The Woman King, incredible. Everything, the cinematography, the directing, the acting, the script, twists that you didn't see coming, that you end up predicting later on, but I was just like, oh my, like, I love this movie. I would not hate if we got a sequel to this movie, because there's so much about the Dahomey Amazons that this movie only barely touched the surface. And then John Boyega was so fine as the king, had his little shirt open. I was just like, oh, baby, 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 baby. But yeah, for me, like I said already, I am giving The Woman King a straight up blockbuster. I am totally seeing this movie again. But the question is, and that's enough about me rambling, what did you guys think about The Woman King if you saw it? If you haven't seen it yet, when are you going to the theater to go see it? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, if you can, hit that thumbs up button and like this video. It'll really help out with the channel. And this is one of your first time checking out one of my videos, please check out the other videos on my channel. And if you like what you see, please subscribe for more. Hit that bell notification button so you're alerted every single time I post a new video. And tell your friends, families, and neighbors about my channel to help me continue to grow. And as always, I will catch you guys next time.